All right, back here on Extra Innings with Andrew Hody. Hope everyone's having a great night. Joining me now on Extra Innings, we have a special guest. He hosts Sunday Night The Oldies, the show that comes on right before us, part of the triple threat of Oldies Alternative on the Sting. Tom LaMoreaux. Tom, how you doing?
Hi, Andrew. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're always welcome on Extra Innings. Anyone from the Sting, always welcome on our show here. So we're really glad to have you. We're really glad you're able to join us tonight for a little bit and stay extra after your show, of course.
Yeah. Fun.
We appreciate it. So, Tom, hope all's well and hope everything's doing good with you.
Yep, everything's going good.
Awesome. Glad to hear that. So I just want to know a little bit about your thoughts on the Guardians this year. I mean, they're off to a 42-22 start. They just took 2 of 3 from the Marlins. I was a little concerned when they lost that first game because we've been playing pretty poorly against those last-place teams this year. But you know what? I mean, the Kansas City rainout kind of affected it, but that's still a 1-1 series. The Guardians are looking pretty good at that 42-22 record right now. Do you have some high hopes for this season?
Well, I think I mentioned last week to you that I had heard, I didn't hear it myself, but I heard that there were a couple times in Cleveland baseball history that they started out similar to what they're doing now. And both times they made it to the World Series. One they won, one they lost. Okay, so that would have been either 1920 or 48, one of those two times.
Yep.
And I think 48 they came from a few games back in 48, so it might have been 1920. But, yeah, going great. And I don't know, they've had such young, good pitching since 2016, 2015. And I think, I'm not an expert, but it seems most of it's homegrown through their own farm system.
Oh, yeah.
But
absolutely.
just have not had the consistent hitting. And that seems to be what's the difference is. I was watching today, it was 2-2, top of the 7th inning. And no outs, second and third base, runners were on, and here comes Freeman, right?
Yep, Freeman.
Hits a 3-run home run, and that's what I think what's been missing.
I agree with you 100%. I think it's kind of like flip-flopped since the Stephen Vogt era began this year.
Yeah.
To me, I feel like we've really seen some struggles in the starting pitching, but we've seen the bats really come to life. What are your thoughts on that? And I don't want to forget about the bullpen, too, because the bullpen's been getting the job done.
Yep.
I'd say very consistently we have had a few struggle nights, but what are your thoughts on maybe is this thing flipping around a little bit, and how's that going to be going towards the end of the dog days here coming up in July?
Well, I think so, because was it 2 years ago we had how many players play their first game that year as rookies for Cleveland? When we were in the playoffs, it was like 20 players or something.
21 or
had
2,
debuted, yeah. And for some reason in baseball, it seems to be the thing that you get that sophomore slump. And I think that probably is what happened last year. And then this year, you know, they're getting the adjustments done and everything else, and they're coming around and hitting pretty good and getting some timely hitting. So, yeah, I think and, you know, they got to support each other. When the pitching's, it's cliche, but when the pitching's not doing well, the hitting's got to help them out. And when the hitting's not doing well, the pitching's got to help them out.
One insane stat I've been reading about is they've come back from down 5 runs 4 times this year. Now, they did lose 2 of those games still, but that's still very impressive.
That's like 95. That's what the 95 situation where they, you know, when they got to the bullpen, they usually won. You know, if they got to the bullpen, that 95 team usually took care of business then, even if they were down a few runs. And so similar, they don't give up, you know.
They don't give up. There's been tons of fight in this team since the very beginning of the season, I may add. I mean, we did have kind of an easier opponent with Oakland coming to – well, we went to Oakland, but Oakland was in our first couple series. I believe we played them one series, and then a few weeks later we played them again here in Cleveland. And that kind of really rattled off a lot of the wins for this season, and they just really haven't stopped. I don't think fans really bought in because it was the Oakland series then, but – now, I mean, you take 1 of 2 from Kansas City as of right now. I mean, that's still pretty impressive to me. And you came back down 5 in one of those games. And then you look and see what the Royals did the other night against the Mariners, coming back from an 8-run deficit.
Right.
So that's pretty impressive to me. And then you look at some of the other series. Atlanta, we took 1 of 3 from, but we're still pretty impressive in that series, I think, overall. We do have a win against the New York Yankees. I think Atlanta and New York are the only series we lost to above 500 teams. So other than that, we've been playing. We played the Twins great. We haven't lost to them yet. So this is looking like it's going to pan out to be a great season, Tom.
Well, Lou Boudreau, you know, was a player manager in 48. His quote or similar quote was, you know, you beat the teams you should, and you break even with the teams that, you know, are the better teams. And that's pretty much what they seem to be doing. Pretty close to that.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And I think 3 people to keep in mind this season so far that I think have really broken out for us. Obviously, Stephen Vogt is the manager. David Fry has been really coming to bat for us night in and night out. And Ben Lively has really kept this thing together on the hill. I want to say it's Tanner Bybee most of the time, and Tanner Bybee has done pretty well most of the time. I still see some flaws there from him, but Ben Lively has essentially kind of been our ace, and this is his first season with us.
Yeah, well, pitching, it's one of those things. It's amazing how one night they're on, one night they're not on, and then, you get an injury, then they come back. It's, I don't know what makes the difference, but, when you get a pitcher who's consistent, then you really got something going in the right direction.
A lot of the games with Cookie we've been playing really well in, too. Even though Cookie himself hasn't been great, Logan Allen, I'm kind of bought out on him, I'll be honest with you. He has not looked very impressive. And all this with Shane Bieber going down, I always think to myself, if Bieber was in this rotation right now, we might be World Series contenders at the moment.
Well, and sometimes, it's just kind of a subconscious thing. Players know that they have to pick up.
Yeah.
So we might not be doing any better, but players kind of, they rise to the expectation. And with a player like that out, they rise to the expectation and they pick up the slack.
What are your thoughts on what they should do at the deadline? Do you think they should go after a pitcher, a shortstop? I know shortstop's been kind of a topic. I know Brian Rocchio hit his first home run in this series. I'm not giving up on him just yet. I still think he's got some potential. Schneemann has shown some potential as well. Do you think there's any big names or any positions they need to target going into this trade deadline here?
Well, I think, with a young team, I think they have to get somebody that fits in well, But, the past few years, Andrew, most of the times when they've done that in the past maybe 10 years, the guys they've gotten have not performed well.
Yeah.
They've come and not performed well. The guy from New York, it was a McDonald. I mean, is that his name? He's doing, but he didn't do it well do very well that last few months here when he came here. And I always tell my son, I say, if someone is playing well somewhere else or putting up these kind of numbers, they need to do it here when they come here. And, and that's the problem. And I don't know why that is. And then they all went on to another team anyway afterwards. So I think maybe, you just stick. You got a good group. They're working well with the manager, vice versa. They're playing hard. They're not giving up. And so maybe you just keep that chemistry.
Absolutely. I think definitely in terms of the batting order, you got to keep that together. The pitching, in my opinion, is really the problem. As I said, I like where we are at shortstop right now, so I'm not going to freak out. I think we got to go after a starting pitcher, though, in terms of if we want to go win it all this year. And I say, you know what? You have the record and the potential. You're right there with the Yankees right now in the American League standings. So that's my thoughts on it. But before we let you go here, Tom, I want to hear a little bit about what's coming up on Sunday night at the Oldies.
Sunday night, we like to do themes, and not all the time, but a lot of the time. So next week's a Father's Day special. We do that every year. Songs with Dad in the title are about Dad. There's a lot of really cool songs, and like we do on Mother's Day. The week after, we'll do a summer show about summer, sunshine, and because it'll be a couple days after summer officially begins. And then August is the big month. Every year we have all special shows. We do a movie theme night, a lyricless night, songs with little or no lyrics, Southern Rock night, a Cleveland Rocks night, Cleveland area artists, and then maybe something a little different or special for Labor Day. So a lot of fun in the summer doing those special shows.
That's awesome, and we'll be staying tuned on Sunday night at the Oldies. Of course, that comes on right before us on Extra Innings every Sunday night from 8 to 11. Hey. Part of the triple threat, as I like to say, of Oldies Alternative on the Sting.
Thank you very much, Andrew, and you've been really doing a fantastic job picking up that last leg on the end of the trifecta.
That's what I'm here to do,
Alternatives. Thank you.
I appreciate
Thank you
your
for inviting me to stay tonight. This is great.
You're welcome anytime, Tom. Thank you very much for joining us. All right, we're going to get you back to the music. We have some requests coming up here in a second. 2 Daves actually requested songs. I'll get to that in a minute. But the 2024 Summer Marathon Series, the list has been revealed. 21 pilots: Jimi Hendrix, the Smiths, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Linkin Park, Nirvana, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and Social Distortion. I'm actually hosting the Rolling Stones Marathon, believe it or not. So I will be here on August 15th for that one. We'll talk a little bit about that because we have a special show on Extra Innings coming up revolving the Summer Marathon Series. I'll discuss later on as we continue the show. We have a few requests coming up, and we're going to start off with request number 1.